She came from nothing.
I am only a simple woman.
But she wanted everything.
One day, you too will inherit these treasures.
She rose to power on the strength of her passion.
When the crowds sing of glory, it is not just for Peron, but for all of us. For all of us.
Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance.
Hollywood Pictures presents the story of a love between a girl and a dream, between an actress and a politician, between a country and a legend. Madonna, Antonio Banderas, Jonathan Pryce, in a film directed by Alan Parker, with music by Andrew Lloyd Webber and lyrics by Tim Rice.
You must love me. You must love me.
Hello, welcome to Movie Umpers. My name is Bob Sham.
My name is Angela.
And the sounds you hear may be dogs. For November, it is musicals month. We're calling it Raise the Curtain and Belt the Chorus. And it is quite the education for me personally because out of all the movies we're going to discuss this month, I've only seen one. You've booked this month.
Yep.
And today is my introduction to the stylings of a Andrew Lloyd Webber. I mean, for what it's worth, when I was editing Fiddler on the Roof, I realized I didn't adjust my camera, so the glare of my screen was in the corner. But I guess it doesn't matter that much.
You're just apologizing.
So in this first week, we've touched base on the MGM classic movie musicals. That's intense song and dance. They're not singing through the whole movie. It's half-acted, and then it's singing, and then it's all this dancing. Fiddler on the Roof, it's not quite as dancey, but there's enough dancing in it that you can hang your hat on. Now, today, we're discussing the film Evita from 1996, directed by Alan Parker, who directed Fame. Written by Alan Parker, Oliver Stone, adapted by those guys, Oliver Stone. Also written by Tim Rice and Andrew Lloyd Webber. It stars Madonna, Antonio Banderas, Jonathan Pryce, and more. Cinematography by Darius Kanji, music by Andrew Lloyd Webber. So, in this movie, they're singing all throughout the whole thing. There's only a few parts that seem spoken, but it's like sing-talking.
Yeah.
So, it's constantly going into musical numbers throughout the entire performance. Is there not a lot of dancing in Webber stuff, or is it groups of people moving about?
Andrew Lloyd Webber is Phantom of the Opera. So, same thing there. There's some dancing.
Okay, I mean, I haven't seen that.
I just can't think of all the stuff he's done.
Well, if you name all the things he's done, it's not going to matter to me because I haven't
you asked
seen
me
it.
a question that I'm not sure of because I don't want to get wrong what he's done, so I want to try to answer your question correctly.
It just didn't seem like there was a lot of dancing in this movie, but more of like bodies shifting around on stage.
It just depends on the show and the feeling and the director, because there are shows that are more talking and then singing, and then there are the ones that are almost like musical operas where they do sing almost every single word. And then like everything that you said, it just depending on the show that it is. So a lot of this stuff, like we're going to watch another Andrew Lloyd Webber at the end of, or towards the end of this month. There will be more dancing, I think.
Cats.
So, yes. But he also did Jesus Christ Superstar, and that's not a lot of dancing, and neither is Phantom of the Opera. So
in this movie, when we got a couple of moments where there were actual dancing, the camera didn't seem to care. It didn't really
No, that's
have
disappointing.
any focusing on that part at all when it seemed like you could have done something cool there. So I found myself having to adjust to this style. It's very new for me. And I would say I got there, but it was like a half hour. I was like, this is weird. This is so weird. This movie, by many standards, people might say is kind of weird in and of itself. I remember it was big news when it came out. It made money. I mean, $55 million made $141 million. So it became successful. But in Fiddler on the Roof, we discussed how people were so attached to the guy who did the original stage show that they were skeptical about the newly cast lead in the movie. And you were like, well, all stage shows are going to be better, especially if it's a good stage show. But we're going into this one and you're a little embittered about the fact that, just a little bit, that Eva Peron is being played by a Madonna.
Yes. I am of the Patti Lupone opinion that she was not the right person.
I saw, I believe it was Buenos Aires, and I thought it was a piece of shit.
We saw something where she called her like a movie killer.
Madonna is a movie killer. She's dead behind the eyes. She cannot act her way out of a paper bag. She should not be in film or on stage.
Look into the camera and apologize to the pop icon or eat a death wing.
She eats the death wing with no hesitation.
Fucking knew it.
You're a psycho.
She came out and said that she thought Madonna did a terrible job. Patti Lupone
I know
is Eva Peron on stage.
She's Broadway royalty. And we've watched some movies with her in it, and she's always good whenever we see her.
This role in particular, you know, we looked her up after the film was over to watch some of her performances of these songs.
This is crazy defeatist talk. Why commit political suicide? There's no risk, there's no call for any action at all when you have unions on your side.
To me, I've seen this stage show a couple of times. There's a weakness to Madonna.
This is crazy defeatist talk. Why commit political suicide? There's no risk, there's no call for any action at all when you have unions on your side.
That I don't buy in that character. She should be stronger in the moments when she has to be quiet and soft. Her voice doesn't have any depth. And when you listen to Patti Lupone in those quiet moments, it is still so warm and round and full.
Just in watching the Patti Lupone performances after we watched the movie, just to get another example of this, yeah, the physicality, her body, her presence, even just so subtly, is a lot better than what Madonna had provided in this movie. But it was also like that with every other performance compared to what we saw in the movie as well. We saw Mandy Patinkin playing Shay.
Yeah.
And I mean, these are super seasoned Broadway stars, but he was also like 20 times better than Antonio Banderas. And I'm sure whoever played El Presidente or whatever the fuck was better in the stage
Peron.
show too. Yeah.
Especially Madonna. It does not feel as though she is playing that character. She is Madonna pretending to be Eva Peron.
She does kind of look a little more like Eva Peron.
She definitely does look more like her. And she campaigned for this role. She wanted this so badly.
I recall that.
She was talking to everyone about how she needed to be this character. I don't know that she did many movies after this. I can't recall any movies after this.
After this, I was thinking about how many movies we've seen her in. Dick Tracy, Desperately Seeking Susan, this one, maybe bit parts in other movies. Mm-hmm. She married Guy Ritchie, and he remade an old love story that put her in it, and he put her in the lead, but it wasn't very well received. Yes, Madonna is playing Eva Peron, and you would mention how there's a certain point where her voice works at a certain tone.
The belting.
But you're right, when it comes down to the sing talking and stuff like that, it's way weird.
It's weak.
And Antonio Banderas, opposite to Madonna's character, he seemed like a better actor. I never thought of Antonio Banderas as like, oh, he's a great actor. But when you see him compared to Madonna, he does stand out. But the way he's singing in it.
Good night and thank you, Emilio. You have completed your task. What more can we ask of you now? Please sign the book on the way out the door, and that will be all. If she needs you, she'll call, but I don't think that's likely somehow.
I don't know if it was all that great there as well. He's got that accent, and he'd probably do it better in Spanish, but he's doing it in English. So when he goes into the talking, it's a little awkward.
I thought he did a passable job. I know that he loves doing stuff like this. He's done multiple concert performances of musicals. I remember being happy for him that he got this part, and I think he does an okay job. There are moments when I really like what he's doing. I love that character because he's all throughout her life playing these little bit parts. He's very much the narrator, and I like that they didn't change that for the movie, but you're right. There's something weird about it. What felt odd to me is there are a few moments in the movie, like when Eva Peron is dying, and Madonna, she does as well as she can in that scene, I think, but she's a dying woman, and there is a lot of passion in her. As the movie progressed, I did feel as though she got better. I wonder...
She does pull off some scenes.
She very much does, especially in the last quarter of this film. I think she does a good job.
Do you think they put something in her eyes?
I don't know. I think
we
she
don't
felt
know.
it because her face was kind of red. I mean, it's an emotional moment, and this is a story of a very young woman who's had a very hard life, crazy life, and now is dying way too young. And there's a lot of regret there, and she has to sort of resign herself. But in that moment, you can tell that in the room she is singing.
Have you ever seen me defeated? Don't you forget what I've been through, and yet I'm still standing.
And it's not perfect, but that's okay because it's real and heartfelt. There's other moments in the big scenes, and I get that you have to record them separately from on set, but there's just something weird to me when it doesn't seem to go exactly right. It seems as though they're lip syncing to their own songs, and I shouldn't be able to really tell that, or it shouldn't be obvious to where it takes me out of it, and it did at the beginning especially.
I realized real quick in just this first week that singing perfectly is not the goal,
No.
but singing convincingly and heartfelt is the goal. Because, Topol and Fiddler on the Roof, he doesn't have some amazing voice, but for his character, he nailed it as that character would. Getting into the politics of Evita here, I don't know much about Eva Peron, and I'm trying to piece this all together. It seemed like the Peron guy who was a colonel, when she met him, she grew up very poor. The movie opens on her funeral, and Antonio Banderas plays Shay, and Shay seems like this general worker guy, labor guy.
He's the everyman.
He was like a reporter almost at some point, like he kind of presented in that way, but he's always on the side of the workers and the labor movement. So she's dead and everyone's mourning, and he's like talking sideways about it because he feels differently.
Oh, what a circus, oh, what a show. Argentina has gone to town over the death of an actress called Eva Peron. We've all gone crazy, mourning all day and mourning all night, falling over ourselves to get all of the misery right.
This is a very beloved person even today in Argentina, and this guy who is on the ground floor of labor movements is like, and of course they name him Shay, and he's like, she wasn't all that, essentially. Jonathan Pryce plays Peron, the presidente, or he's colonel when she meets him.
Yes.
And they fall in love, but Juan Peron is his name. And Juan Peron, he comes up right wing and then acts left wing. He consolidates the labor onto his side, and he manages to, a year after he meets and marries Eva Peron, he manages to become leader of the country. And she talks like a straight up, according to the movie and as presented, like a straight up socialist. And then he's acting like I read I just skimmed a little bit on their history, and he would go after like intellectuals and stuff in universities, like go after them like a right-wing dictator would. But she also, the women's suffragette movement in Argentina. So she did make these very distinct social changes in Argentina, but it seems like that they weren't really all about the labor movement. And we do see scenes of people coming in and busting strikes. And there's also, they go and see Franco in Spain, who is a fascist, and they're like buddies with him. I was like, well, that's a sign that it's interesting, these South American politics. From what I could tell, as people reflect on history, Eva Perón is still beloved, and some of Juan Perón's politics still kind of linger. But after she died, a lot of the country was just like, fuck you.
This movie posits that he would not have been president were it not for Eva Perón. And it's the classic behind every successful man is a strong woman. One of the things that's so interesting to me is that the Che character says, she talks a lot but says nothing, because she does rile people up. But all she's doing is saying, Perón is great. I am one of you. He loves me, so he loves you. That's the basis of the message that we get in the show.
Yeah.
And I get that everyone loves her, and I get that idea of she was one of the people, because she grew up poor. She made her own way.
Do you think what, Madonna's career has been, people projecting this tartish image onto her, and she plays it up for grand record sales and movie roles and such. Eva Perón kind of had her own reputation in that way. And we see like montages of men that she's going through while Che is singing through it. And there's at one point when we're talking about Madonna's acting, she's a little too flat-faced most of the time. She can smile, which she probably learned that first, growing up and learning how to perform. But there's a point where this man is, she's sleeping with this man, and I swear she's trying to display some kind of like a polite timidness, but it doesn't come through at all. And we're watching it, and it was like, you have no idea what she was thinking in that scene.
Absolutely not.
She really is so pretty damn flat-faced. Like, she is not a good actor.
No.
She really isn't. And when we get near the end, the balcony scene, I think she does well. And then she's crying a lot when Eva Perón is dying near the end. And she does seem to pull that off, too. However way. I mean, no shame if you got to induce tears with something. I wouldn't be able to cry on command either. But apparently it's a big thing among actors. Like, they take that shit seriously.
Yes. I can still make myself cry. It was something I used to be very proud of when I was trying to be an actress.
We kind of did describe most of the movie.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole thing. One of the things that doesn't feel cohesive to me is the music. We're going to get this again when we watch Jesus Christ Superstar, but it's the slow ballad that I love. I love those parts of this movie. The Don't Cry for Me, Argentina, the You Must Love Me was written for this, and that's one of the best songs.
Yeah, also written by Tim Rice and Webber.
But they did write it. Yeah, they wrote
especially
it for
the
this
movie. It's a good song.
It's a great song.
Scared to confess what I'm feeling. Frightened you'll slip away. You must love me. You must love me.
Those moments I really love and I connect to, and even the storytelling things that Che is doing. But then it goes into rock and roll. And it works in some instances. I think it works in Jesus Christ Superstar. In this, I do not feel that it works.
Is it like that in the stage show too,
yeah,
where they rock
it's
it
the same
up?
Music.
Rock and roll has been rendered corny for a long time, and it just
or similar music. They don't
just
change
took
it much.
us a long time to recognize that that was the worst part, and it sounded cheesy.
Eva Perón, spiritual leader of the nation, entered immortality at 8:25 this evening.
It sounded overproduced, like an 80s pop record, almost overproduced. It's like, when the white dudes are like, yeah, we're going to get bluesy. They wore out the blues a long time ago to where it sounds very corny unless you sing it in very specific ways. Well, this one did that with rock music, and it was a little too obtuse when you're floating along and it's like, well, let's jam it up in this part. It's like, okay. But I guess if you're a big Patti Lupone, Evita fanatic, you're probably pretty bitter that anytime Evita comes up now, that it's going to be Madonna's image that comes up first. I mean, that's the reality of it. But even though this movie was successful for its time, it's not really a movie that has survived going forward. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not, people have mixed feelings when they look back on it. It's not one that's like, wasn't that a great musical?
Half the money they made was probably people going to see a shit show because there had been so much buildup. You know, you said
it won Golden Globe Best Picture.
I know, and there are moments that are good. It looks beautiful.
I mean, who watches the fucking Golden Globe?
No, I mean, I know. You said exactly what Madonna's argument was of why she should play this role, that she could understand. Well, not looking like her, she could understand where she was coming from.
Yeah.
And she talked about how she understood this person and she could play this person. It just doesn't come across. I'm sure she does relate to it. Totally fine. But she can't emote that. The image that you see constantly for this, it's the poster, it's the cover of the DVD, is her gripping Antonio Banderas' shoulders because it is one of the few times in the movie where she truly emotes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he's not Peron. It doesn't really make sense.
It's a little confusing there
because that is a dream sequence.
Yeah.
That is the one dream sequence, and in that moment, she is dancing with all of Argentina.
She's being as sincere as she can with the man who represents the everyday people in Argentina,
and she loves the people, and I do believe that. I don't know how true to
this character anyway.
Everything. That's what I mean. I don't know how true to the world this was, but she was very revered. So there was love from the people, and I think her for the people. But I do, as this musical does, she's not completely perfect, and she definitely likes to spend money, and she definitely wants to look good. And
pretty bold to cast Jonathan Pryce, a British actor, as Juan Peron.
Yeah.
After the Falklands crisis between those countries. Bold move. Maybe is that a dig on Juan Peron himself, or just an insensitive casting? Argentina's still real sore about that Falklands deal. Jonathan Pryce, we saw him on Brazil. And he does fine here, I guess. I don't know. I feel like a lot of the way things were framed, like I said, when we got some dancing parts, I really wanted to kind of pull back and rest on that. I don't think it would have, you still could have had the vocalizations and stuff, but yeah, I felt it was, not completely bad, but a little underwhelming. But when she does do the balcony scene, I did feel that. Mm-hmm. It did really work. That's the essential scene, the Don't Cry for Me Argentina
Absolutely.
Scene. Don't cry for me Argentina. The truth is I never left you. All through my wild days, my mad existence, I kept my promise. Don't keep your distance.
I felt like Madonna did hit that one. You know, she didn't fail at every point, but it just seemed like it was like awkward just watching her get to the points where it seemed like she could succeed. What else is there? What songs did you like? You liked You Must Love Me. The Rainbow High song is pretty good.
I don't like that one as much.
She's all I feel like she did that one okay for her tone, but that's one where she's getting like super bougie about it.
Yeah, but that is also one of those instances where we also watched Rainbow High done by Patti Lupone, and the fire in that woman, it just doesn't compare.
I mean, I get it, but we're watching this movie.
I know, but it's hard.
You had to explain to me the differences between the stage and how you had to separate them for Fiddler, but you can't seem to do that as well here for Evita. I guess if Evita were better, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah.
I mean, Madonna is not Patti Lupone.
Well, I think it was I think it was incorrect casting. I think it was bad casting. I think Madonna did as well as she could have, but there are so many people who are so talented that why was it Madonna?
And if Patti Lupone, and I think she has the wherewithal to understand this, if Patti Lupone was cast in this position, she would have to kind of pull back a little bit.
Well, and it wouldn't have been her. Because at that point, I think she was much older than 26. And Madonna was older than that, but Patti Lupone was older than her. I don't think they would cast her, but if they had cast someone
Who do you think? Who do you think? Do you have anyone in mind from the 90s?
From the 90s.
Sharon Stone.
I don't know if she can sing.
Terry Garr, who just passed away. Rest in peace, Terry Garr. What about Gwyneth, a younger Gwyneth Paltrow? You think she could have done?
I mean,
I'm
she
thinking
sings,
of the
but
blondes
no.
here.
The girl from Bridget Jones' Diary. She's in Chicago. She plays Roxy Hart.
Renee Zellweger.
Renee Zellweger plays Roxy Hart in the movie of Chicago, which if we ever do another month of this, I've got a lot of ideas of more things I want to show you.
Well, never again. Never again. There was a scene where when Eva Peron is now officially in Juan Peron's life and she goes up to this room and Juan Peron's mistress is on the bed there and she does the talk singing where it's like, it's time to go, you're done here.
Hello and goodbye. I've just unemployed you. You can go back to school. You've had a good run. I'm sure he enjoyed you.
And the mistress stands up and does just a little sing-talking herself. And she does the sing-talking better than everyone else in the movie, this little role.
So what happens now? So what happens now? Where am I going
You'll
to?
get by, you always have before.
Where am I going to? Don't ask anymore.
And that person was played by a woman named Andrea Corr, who is an Irish folk pop star from Ireland.
Wow.
An Irish folk pop star from Ireland in a band called the Corrs. They had maybe one album out by the time she was in this movie. By the 2000s, they had this hit song called Breathless that went like, go on, go on.
Oh, I know that.
Go on, leave me breathless.
Yes.
But yeah, Andrea Corr in that scene playing a mistress, a no-name character, did the singy talky thing better than everyone. I see the potential.
Yeah.
It also seems impressive, this particular Webber style, in that it seems like a lot more can go wrong in this process as well. So it is impressive in that sense. So even though I felt like I was watching something that was okay at some points and weirdly imperfect in others, that I recognize that if this style can be just executed like 10 out of 10, then that would be extremely impressive.
This is so making me wish that I had a Sondheim on this schedule because that is very difficult to sing and it is also constantly singing. Patti Lupone's also done a lot of his stuff. I think you would appreciate it for the same things of what you just said.
Just more dancing, you know.
That little refrain that you just spoke of that she does, it appears 3 times in the story. And that is one of my favorite musical moments because every time those lines are said, they are said by different people at different points in their lives. Madonna sings it when she's trying to get this man to take her to Argentina with him from her small town. Then the mistress does it. And then it happens again at the end when she's dying. And the line is, where do I go from here?
So what happens now? Where am I going to?
The last line is something like, don't ask again.
Don't ask anymore.
Or stop asking, don't ask anymore. That moment I thought was beautiful when she was in the hospital. In that moment, that was a beautiful moment in this movie.
It seemed like the middle and the end work the best.
Yeah, the end works the best for me.
And throughout the movie, I'm like up and down, up and down, up and down. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's a terrible movie, but it's definitely very flawed. But Evita from 1996, directed by Alan Parker. We're going to give it 1 through 5 each combined for best out of 10. I think it just qualifies for around a 3 for me.
I'm going to give it a 2.75.
Ooh, that's a little, yeah, okay.
Just barely above mid.
5.75. Here you go. It got a lot of press in its day, quite hyped, but years later, there's not as much lip service looking back. But Evita by Alan Parker from 1996 hits a C+, a 5.75. It is in between the movies Courage Under Fire and Johnny Dangerously, the Amy Heckerling comedy starring Michael Keaton.
I am not crying.
It's as mid as those movies, if not midder. Evita, we started off really strong for week 1, but when I realized that it can suck.
Yeah.
A little bit. Actually, I didn't think it sucked.
No.
It's actually very rare when we're like, this is total shit.
Yeah.
When we say it's mid, that's often as like the biggest insult we'll give to a movie. I mean, it does suck when something's mid.
Well, because mid is I could take it or leave it.
Yeah.
I don't regret the time I spent watching it, but I don't ever want to see it again.
Yeah. Like a D or F movie may be memorable in how terrible it could be. Whereas Evita, we'll probably just move on with our lives.
Yeah.
All right, so next week, I can't remember what's on the next week docket, but I did make a fun little preview trailer for this month. Go back and find that. You should be able to find it in the Raise the Curtain and Belt the Chorus playlist on YouTube. You can find it that way. And I think by the new year, I'm going to do theme preview recordings for the podcast versions too, but go on YouTube and look at the little trailers I've been making for the themes. It's been a lot of fun. But so check the show notes for links, other places to find us. Like, subscribe. Let us know. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of Evita. Maybe you disagree with us. Maybe you have no idea who Patti Lupone is, and you think this is just Madonna just knocked it out of the park. All right, and yeah. So next week, more musicals.
Happy Thanksgiving.
From you I cannot have.